Hi.
Get that in there just a little closer. There you have it.
Okay. In keeping in mind the idea of working with the flow and going with the flow, what's the best way to reach out and help others in the world that are disadvantaged, and also to help creation at this point?
Well, we understand what you mean by helping others who are disadvantaged. What do you mean by...
Well, we see everything that's going on with the environment, and is there anything individually that we can, like, we're looking for a spiritual path or a path that is practical that we can really work on and do something, go out there and do something. What's suggested of how to handle?
Well, here's the thing that we really want you to hear. So you've been following us that step one happens from the living of life. So does it make sense to you that as you and billions of others live on this planet, that your awareness of what you want is extending ahead of you? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, for future generations, so that the earth is preserved. Is that what?
Well, what we really want to say to you is there are so many things that we want to say to you about this, but mostly what we want to say is that the main work that everyone does, whether you are a deliberate creator or whether you are just here living life by default and you don't have a clue about why you're here or where you've come from or the eternal nature, in other words, you're just here living life, whether you know what you're doing or not, you are all doing this. You're living life, you're examining life, and you are selfishly acknowledging on many levels of your being what you think would make life better for you. You just can't help but do that. Everyone has your own selfish perspective. So as you are expressing yourself in life, you're doing step one. You're asking. Every time you see something in the world that you don't want, you're asking for what you do want, even if you don't put words to it. And everybody else is doing that too. So the asking is taking place by just the living of life, and the asking is being answered by source energy. It's the allowing part that there's a little snag. The gap is between man's awareness that he wants something more than he has and his ability to let himself become a vibrational match to it. So you have to be sort of getting the point and feeling a little softer as you understand that as billions live and ask, and as source answers, that the world is in good hands, and that to the degree that any individual now relaxes and allows the well-being that he and others are asking for, then you allow the wellness in your life right here and now. We want you to know that as this earth spins in its orbit, have you noticed it? Have you seen any of those views of your planet from space? Have you seen any of those views of space from your planet? And are you beginning to get the sense of this incredible orchestration of this working, moving, living, breathing universe? We think you have nothing to worry about. In other words, if the earth can exist and spin in its orbit, we don't think you need to worry about its temperature. In other words, the well-being is so huge and is so understood from that broader perspective. It's just one more thing for man to fuss and worry about and use as his excuse not to let the energy flow into him right here and now.
Okay, and let's say when I say disadvantage in other parts of the world that have less, or let's say hunger and things like that,
well, we know.
I mean, like if I use prayer a lot or meditate, but beyond that, what can?
But here's the thing: when you offer a prayer, so you're looking right at something that is making your heart ache. Someone's hungry or someone's disadvantaged, and in that feeling of sadness, you pray. And we say, you have no power of influence right now. Your power of persuasion is little to none, because in your sadness, you're not connected with the power that helps. So you say, well, how could I not feel that way when I see that? And we say, well, take it a step further. See it, feel it, let your desire be born out of it, then turn your attention to the desire. Mm-hmm. See them as finding a way. Expect things to get better for them. Mm-hmm. Wish things to get better for them. And offer your prayer of appreciation for all who eat. Do you know that if those who are praying in sadness would turn their prayers to appreciation, big changes would happen immediately. Big changes would happen immediately. Because a prayer of appreciation closes the gap and connects you with the energy of source. And as you are connected to the energy of source and holding anything as your object of attention, you are positively influencing it and affecting it, you see. So people sometimes say, oh, Abraham, you teach such selfishness. And we say, we really do. Because if you're not selfish enough to choose the thoughts that connect you with source, then you don't have anything to give those that you wish to give to. Mm-hmm. There's another thing that we can give to you that will help you about this, and that is everything that you feel is about the relationship between where you are and what you wish. So let's say that you are eating well, you are living in abundance, you have a good life, and you are privy to some close-up information because of the technological advantages of your planet, where you are taken to see a village somewhere where children are hungry or where they are sick. And you spend enough time watching it that you feel the vibrational impact of it on your body. In other words, you are brought to true sadness as you watch that. So, but you're wise enough to know that that feeling of sadness is because you watched something long enough that it took you out of vibrational alignment with who you are. And you say, but how can I uplift someone? How can I not be greedy but be the opposite of that? How can I use my resources to assist that? And we say, first you got to understand what your true resources are. Your true resources are your connection with source. Mm-hmm. And if you tend to those resources first, then ideas will flow to you, and you will find ways of, you will be inspired to the phone call, to the action, to the donation, to the participation that will really be of advantage. In other words, we are certainly, our message is not one of non-action. Our message is one of alignment first and then inspired action, you see. There are so many people who want to be of value. When you look around the world, you don't have to watch television very long before you see something that you would like to offer some assistance about. And that's because you are born as an uplifter. You want to be of advantage. But when you understand that your interaction with the situation caused you personally to put your personal selfish spin on this creation, and that you, like so many others, have now contributed to vibrational escrow because of what you've seen and felt. And that vibrational escrow, which is the vibrational escrow of mass consciousness, has expanded, and the source that is within everyone and everything has now expanded to that new vantage point and is now calling everyone toward it. So what we're saying to you is, if source hears their cry and cannot overcome their resistance, why do you think you can or should? And when you turn instead and you say, oh, well, that does feel a little better. So they're living and they're asking, and source is hearing and answering. Then you come around to the answer to your question. Then I will do everything in my power to help them hear the call of source. Mm-hmm. And that's why so many religions are out there beating those drums. They really believe that if they can just get people turned toward the call of source, that is the answer. But in most cases, it is a misguided answer, because it's just more jumping through more hoops instead of moving in the direction of that which is true alignment. You could lie in your very feathered bed, having just eaten a delicious meal, having just watched a documentary that made your heart ache for a little bit, and you could feel the launching of the desires within you for an improved plight or an improved life experience for those people that you've just seen living their plight. And when that desire is born within you, if you could find a way, lying there in your bed, of getting your thoughts around the improved life that you wish for them, and you could go with that flow long enough that you actually felt your boat turn in the stream, and you were able to lie there long enough that you actually began to feel, it might take night after night after night, you were actually able to feel enthusiasm for this new bright future that you see dawning for these people. You will have done more as an individual citizen lying in your bed than all of the help organizations in the world combined, because you will have accessed and harnessed and directed the energy that creates worlds.
Okay, thank you.
But what can I do for them? Wish them well. But what can I do for them? Hope that they get better. But what can I do for them? Wish and hope and wish and hope and wish and hope until you start to believe. But what can I do for them? Believe that it will get better. But what can I do for them? Know that they have asked and that they have been answered and that help is on the way. But what can I do for them? Know that well-being is there for them. Know it so keenly that they begin to hope it.